Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste to all. Welcome to this space called Satsang, where we can, as they say, hang out. And if there are any questions, we can talk about that. It can be related to some of the things that we have been discussing in the class, although not necessarily. Other questions are also welcome. So you have two choices to ask the questions. One, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, and or you can type it in the chat pod and I will read it. Yes, yeah, no need to raise hand. You can do that. Yes.
Namaskar, Swamini ji.
Namaskar, namaskar.
I have a question. It's more like I need clarity. Antaryami is used quite a bit in North India. People just easily say, oh, it's all Antaryami, Ishwara is Antaryami. But I didn't really get the depth of it until your classes started. Would you mind elaborating on that a little bit more? And Antar means internal.
Yeah. Antar
And then
inside, within. And we have been talking a lot about this concept of within. Within means what? I mean, actually, it has no meaning. When we talk about the all pervasive Ishvara, why to talk about within? And as I said earlier, the within is more for the person who is seeking this knowledge. And the person who is seeking this knowledge is laboring under the apprehension that Ishvara is far away and that Ishvara is really remote and I have to bring it back to myself, etc., etc. And that is how the person is, laboring under that presumption. And this presumption is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because this Ishvara is everywhere, everything. Nothing is separate from this, what we call Ishvara. But the Upanishad goes along with the human error, so to speak, because it is an error if it is only seen as as something which is like within. And if you say Ishvara is within alone, then that's an error. And if you say Ishvara is only without, that's another error. Okay, so within is a standpoint. From the standpoint of the human, human means the one who is studying the jiva, the body, mind, sense complex of this person, then we say Antaryami, yam to restrain, yam to rule, yam to discipline. So Yamin, the one who wields the power of rulership, overlordship from within what? The body, mind, sense complex. So it is like, there is some kind of a clockwork mechanism inside. And in those old fashioned toys, you wound it up and then the thing would spin. And the child would think, oh, this is a miracle. How does it spin like that? But it is wound up somehow from within. That the mechanism is within. That is the idea. So that which is not outside of that name and form with which it animates. From that sense, we say within. So, and it's very, I think we saw Adi Shankara's definition also of Antaryami. A very nice, wonderful definition. So, the one who the one who inhabits, so to speak. And again, because this is what is that? Because this is um, Upanishad, the word as though has to come everywhere. So, the one who as though inhabits the body, the mind, the senses, etc. And remaining within as the truth, as the content of the body mind sense complex, the one that runs the show, the invisible one that is everywhere, that is everything, that runs the show of each and every body mind sense complex, animating it. Because what is this animation? The animation of a particular upadhi, coming to light, coming to life of a particular upadhi. What is that? That is so beautiful. That means that the upadhi by itself is a casing, it's a shell, it is inert. So, the presence of this being, who is known as Antaryami, from the standpoint of the one who is animating all names and forms, is crucial. And without this presence, there is nothing can said to be existent. Nothing can be said to exist. So, exist means what? When we say something exists, that existence belongs to the Antaryami, not to the name and form. Name and form dies away, perishable. Antaryami is without an end. Amritaha, that's why the word Amrita is used. So, that is one meaning. Second meaning is when something comes to life because of the presence of Ishvara. Remember the sutra and the puppets. So it is the puppeteer who is bringing something to life. And so this Antaryami lends not only its presence but its sentience. So that existence is there, that consciousness is there, it is all borrowed from the Antaryami. Borrowing from the Antaryami, every upadhi comes to life. And so there is nothing outside of this Antaryami, that is the idea. And this Antaryami itself is it's a it's a name, it's a nomenclature from the standpoint of this body mind sense complex, where one thinks Ishvara to be far away. So for that, this teaching is very beautiful. Other
Swamiji,
questions? Yes.
yes, Swamiji, I had a doubt. So basically, generally for uh, us jivas, the reason we work is because of uh, karma, right? Like we are unaware of our own true nature,
Yeah.
and we feel incomplete. So we think something external will give us, will make us feel complete, and hence we work, and then we get caught in the chain of karma. Sometimes, Swamiji, even fear also seems to kind of, maybe fear is also related to karma, but fear also drives us to work. So how could you talk about, like Swamiji, sometimes like fear of an exam or something of that sort?
Yeah.
How else could one
Uh,
work, Swamiji? That's
Yes, yeah, you have summed it up very well. Karma pravrittihi kamasyat. So, the impulse for any action is desire. Okay, this is what is well known, and you have summed it up very nicely and caught the gist of it. So, where does fear come into the picture? The fear comes into the picture because behind every fear is a hidden desire. A desire, the embers of desires, is hidden under the ashes called fear. And you just blow the ashes, and the kindling that is there, still alive and red hot, is the desire. It is a desire that is masquerades as fear. Because you say, okay, fear of exam makes me want to study. Then you ask another question: why should I be afraid of the exams? Oh, because I will, if I don't study, then I will get bad marks, I will not make it, I will fail. So what? You keep asking so what for every question. So what? Then I will not get a job, or then somebody will make fun of me, or I will be embarrassed. And so all this is karma. I don't want to be embarrassed. I want to do well. It's all want and don't want hidden. It's all hidden in there. And so when you say fear, it is the fear of loss, fear of not getting what one wants, fear of getting something that one doesn't want. That's also a problem. So and so there, so it is all yoga kshema pursuits. And if I don't have this, there is panic. And so the panic hides the hides, it's when there is a complex set of desires, it turns into panic because the investment is too much. What is at stake is too much. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah.
So what is the medicine for that, Swamiji?
Yeah, the same thing. There's just how to, the karma is there. Karma is not bad, but it needs a little bit of pruning and taming. That's all it is. Desire is not to be controlled, it is just like anger, to be managed. How do we manage it? When there are desires that drive one crazy, then one has to remember to be in the driving seat and not let oneself be driven by desire. And so one way of dealing with such, so some desires are not a problem. You say, oh, I wish I had ice cream. Well, there is no ice cream at home, and and then what are you going to do? Oh, doesn't matter, I won't eat it. Simple. And that kind of a desire is not bad. Or I'll have it tomorrow. Or if it's there, it's okay. If it's not there, it's okay. This is, a healthy place to be in relation to that particular desire. Because if it's there, अच्छा है, no problem. If it's not there, well and good. You are free in relation to the desire. But then if you say, I have to have it and I have to have it right now, I have to have it yesterday, then we are talking of, some problems. Then we are talking of a dependency. So those desires which bind you to follow them, which create the pressure, that pressure is a difficult thing. It's not the desire that's the problem. Kama krodhodbhavam vegam. This is what the Bhagavad Gita says. The vega means the pressure emitted by the desire to fulfill it. That is the problem. And so that is managed through techniques such as deferred gratification. I want it right now. Okay, then you train yourself to say, I want it, but I'll have it a little later. You give it to yourself, but give it to yourself much later than when you want it. And then in that time, change the channel, do something else. And then you convert these binding, pressure-filled, tiresome desires into free desires. That is the first step. Then it is, once the desire is divorced from that particular pressure, then it becomes easier. Then it becomes much, much easier to deal with. Okay, yeah. So that is what we can understand. There are a couple of questions here. How can Akshara Purusha, Maya Shakti, exist in Vyavaharika Satta when the Vyavaharika Satta itself is Kshara? Beautiful question. Very nice question, Niyati. It's because the whole teaching is all about paradoxes. So, how can the finite exist within the infinite? Where else will it exist? The finite has to exist somewhere, and if the truth of the finite is infinite, that is the beauty of it. The finite is upheld by the infinite, and so that means what? That the finite and the infinite do not occupy the same order of reality. They absolutely cannot occupy the same order of reality. That which we call the finite is dependent upon that which is infinite. So, that which is called finite is effect, and the infinite is called cause. Akshara Purusha is, as I said, Karana Upadhi of Bhagavan. Bhagavan as Karana, and Kshara Purusha is Bhagavan as Karya. So, since both are Bhagavan, one is, one is a projection, and one is a dependent reality, and the other one is free. That is what it is. But really speaking, this Karana Karya is also a kind of a nomenclature where that which is free of Karana and free of Karya is this Antaryami that we are studying about. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that is what we are doing. Then the next question. We have talked about Ishvara being compassionate. Is this an attribute? Does this manifest more disproportionately for a devotee? No, it's not an attribute. It's a swarupa. That is why this one says, Adi Shankara says, Swabhavataha. Swabhavataha. So, Swabhavataha. Somebody has put on some music in the next room. Let me tell them to turn it down a bit. Yes. So, this compassion is, whether we talk about Ishvara's compassion, so to speak, or whether we talk about the Jiva's compassion, it is one's nature. This is not talked about as some kind of an attribute. That's why Adi Shankara says Swabhavataha. So therefore, the so therefore this is the this is what is called Ishvara's compassion. It's like saying Rahu's head. What is Rahu? Rahu is a planet which is all head. Also, if you say Rahu's head, it is just at the best, a kind of a upachara. Upachara means a figure of speech at best. So too Ishvara's compassion. We have to change it to compassion that is the manifestation of Bhagavan. And so, does this manifest more disproportionately? Not necessarily. It depends on how much freedom from raga dvesha that particular person has. I don't know what exactly you mean by this. Like, is Ishvara more compassionate to certain devotees and not? No. But if you say, does the compassion manifest more or less disproportionately in people? It depends on the eclipse of Atma Ajnana, how much that there is. It also depends on how free the heart is from the hold of the strong prejudices, dvesha, and or strong desires, raga. Strong preferences and strong prejudices constitute this very much, this kind of a block. Compassion is there. Where else will it go? It is latent. and to manifest it in the everyday, to allow that to come forward, takes heart, takes some work, takes the conscious cultivation of that which is already one's nature. So you kind of go through the process of manifesting the compassion which is already there. You go through the exercise. And then what happens is that it manifests more and more and more. And sometimes one doesn't even know it, because in the beginning one thinks, oh, I'm already so compassionate. I'm in fact the most compassionate person. And then after the study of Vedanta, a little later, oh, I don't know what I was thinking then. Look at me now, how much freer I am, how much more compassionate I am. Then look at me now, look at me now. So it's a growing thing, because as one grows, as one drops notions about others, notions, wrong notions about oneself, etc., 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 as one drops, as one does this, then we have more of a flowering of compassion, which is one's nature. That compassion is, the outpouring of that compassion is in the form of love, is in the form of kindness, is in the form of accommodation, and all that are the dynamic forms of ananda, compassion. Compassion is also a form of ananda, joy, centered on the I. Joy means what? It's not some, joy where the 32 teeth come out. That's not the kind of joy that we are talking about. Joy here means a deep sense of contentment that one doesn't want or need anything other than oneself in order to be happy. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. One is happy by oneself and one is happy with oneself. That is the idea. Okay. Yeah. Who else had a question? Geeta, I think, had a question. Tell me. Did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Some Vigraha Vakya in Sanskrit. Who wanted to do that? Smita.
Me.
Yes? Yes.
Namaste, Bhagini.
Yeah,
Namaste.
namaskar,
So,
namaskar.
I heard you earlier, Yama Samaiti Ti Maya. Is that correct?
Yama sa maya.
Oh, Samaya, not Samayati.
No, no, no.
Ah.
Yama sa,
Ah.
comma, ya ma. The one who is ma. Ma means knowledge. Sa, she is maya.
So, Yama Sa Maya.
Yes.
Dhanyavadaha. A few more. Then I have here is Atmanam Adhikrutya Tishtati Adhyatmik.
Adhyatma.
Adhyatmik. And then Devam Adhikrutya Tishtati
Yes.
Adhidaivikam.
Yes.
So, Yatha Tatha Bhautikam
Bhutanam.
Bhutanam Adhikrutya Tishtati
Tishtati. Yeah.
Adhibhautikam.
Yeah. So centered on the bhutas. Adhikritya means centered on. Tishtati, that which remains centered on the bhutas, adhibhautikam. That which remains, which is centered on that uncontrollable forces in the form of Bhagavan, Deva, the adhidaivikam. That which is centered on I, adhyatmam.
Astu Dhanyavadaha.
I'll ask Swamiji question.
Okay.
How to have a dreamless sleep? Is there any way we can not have a dream and have a sound sleep?
Well, nowadays there are sleep specialists who deal with those kinds of situations. And perhaps this is a question better directed to for them. But I am curious now. Now that you have asked this, I want to know, why are you against dreams? So, if you are having difficult dreams that disturbs the sleep, then then you can say, okay, I don't want dream, because any dream that I'm having is like a nightmare, and it is a cause of fear. So that could be one reason why people don't want dreams. And then the other reason could be that the the it is disturbing the sleep or something like that. In Vedanta, as in modern psychology, we say that the dream is an outpouring of desires and fears that have not had the chance to see the light of day. So they are an airing out, a safe place to air out certain kinds of scenarios which are either immoral or illegal or just plain not allowed, whatever it is, during the day. You feel like, you feel like strangling somebody. Obviously, this is not a desire that should be carried out in any form or manner. In the momentary grip of some kind of a anger, you just tell yourself, oh, I just wish I could strangle such and such a person, this person makes me so angry. But that anger has not been fully processed, and then the person goes to sleep. In the sleep, the dream comes that you are actually injuring that person, or or thinking of injuring the person, some kind of a, in a milder way, that scenario comes. And what we say is, one prarabdha gone. Dream is an outpouring of prarabdha. Dream is karma. And what kind of karma is it? Prarabdha karma. And if we, study the fifth verse of the Sadhana Panchaka, you are studying the first verse, but if we study the fifth verse, the last verse of Sadhana Panchakam, it says, Prarabdham ihatu bhujyatam. Bhujyatam means it is, may one learn to eat the prarabdha. Prarabdha kshaya. Prarabdha is exhausted only by experiencing it. You cannot give it away to somebody else. You cannot, say, do this, do that. You cannot do that. It's for you to experience, and by experience it diminishes, it goes away. And the dream, if one can tolerate the dream, it's a very safe way to express any kind of subconscious raga, dvesha, fear, etc. Harmless ways. It just goes away. And then, if you look at modern psychology, it doesn't talk about karma so much, but it talks about every dream. Carl Jung said, every dream is an unopened letter. It has something to tell you about yourself. It is full, it's pregnant with possibilities. And then, if you look, there are some recurrent themes which are specific to you. And dream analysts will also have some recurrent general themes which are general to everybody. And so there you get more of an idea of who you are. Not Atmajnanam, but more of the sense of, who you are in the, as a jiva, in the Jagat. What is it that you perhaps need to work on? So it is all wonderful information. So we don't try to shun away the dreams, we just allow it to be and not give it much emphasis. Just let it be.
Okay. Thank you. Why I asked, because I thought one is karma and another it's not, then like samadhi kind of sleep. That's actually samadhi state, right? When we sleep, there
Yeah,
is no thought or anything.
very clever. You are trying to replace samadhi with sleep. So, nice try. But, okay, very nice try.
Sorry.
Wonderful. ये बहुत अच्छी बात है. You know, I want to have samadhi, let me go to sleep. Perfect. Nirvikalpa samadhi. Now the only question is, should I go to sleep? Should I have this nirvikalpa samadhi in the class or after the class? That's the only question. So, so therefore, samadhi, sleep is samadhi. You're absolutely correct. Let the samadhi come because see, it is not samadhi if it is uninterrupted. Okay, if it is uninterrupted, it is death. If it is interrupted, then only it is samadhi. Because samadhi is that from which you come back. Ah, correct?
Yes.
Otherwise, it is called Mahasamadhi if it is uninterrupted. And when a sadhu passes away, you don't say such and such a person has died because there is no death for the sadhu who has this knowledge, who is Amrita, who is considered to be the embodiment of this Atma and which is Brahman. And so when the sadhu passes away, we have a code word, you know. See, we are not that different from anybody, but you know, we have some code words. So you have lunch, we have bhiksha, and you know, everyone else dies. And then when you know sadhu passes away, it is mahasamadhi. Mahasamadhi means from which you don't come back. You see, so don't desire uninterrupted samadhi because then it is not samadhi. Samadhi means which is interrupted. Even when you sit in meditation, some bird is, you know, chirping, some doorbell rings, some, you know, in India, some dudwala or some fruit seller, vegetable seller is calling out the wares. Something or the other interrupts. Then you go back. Meditation also, you go back. There is nothing called uninterrupted samadhi because then what is the difference between that and Mahasamadhi? We don't want Mahasamadhi because we want the Prarabdha to do that, to do Kshaya on its own. Let Bhagavan take care of the Mahasamadhi. Don't worry, okay? Yeah, so it is just like that. So no need to avoid the dream and no need to desire the dream. Let it come. It's okay. That too is another experience. Let it come. If it has something to tell you, you can analyze it, you can have fun with it. Otherwise, let it be there. It is part of the prarabdha karma. Latent, small prarabdha gets exhausted in dream. It's actually very healthy. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, why wonder why people bank on yajnas rather than Vedanta, though yajnas seem to be more cumbersome. Yeah, it is more cumbersome, but Vedanta, what fruit does it give, you know? Yeah, you want something tangible. Vedanta, what will it do other than remove complexes? And people don't rely, people don't have a lot of premium for self knowledge, and because they don't know what it is, they think self knowledge means just some dry study of the Upanishad and bet ke padho, and all the time you're not having fun, you're just sitting and studying a text, and what is the use, etc., etc. They're not that into that because they don't know what it is. If they knew, if everybody knew, then Vedanta would be the only thing to desire. Because Vedanta removes the need to have or want anything. Vedanta removes that. And so
I mean,
the only desire is to stop seeking. But if one doesn't know that that is my primary desire, then all those desires morph into time bound pursuits because of the fact that Purushartha Nishchaya has not taken place. Purushartha Nishchaya means knowing what one really wants. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन. Eka iha kurunandana. Eka. There's only one kind of orientation, buddhi. Vyavasayatmika means this nishchaya has to be done. What one wants has to be ascertained fully. What is it that gives lasting fulfillment? What is it that I want? Why is it that I want this? That has to be ascertained. Otherwise, the costs are huge. Lord Krishna explains this beautifully in the Bhagavad Gita. Bahushakha hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam avyavasayinam, for the people who do not have this buddhi of knowing what they really want, who do not do this ascertainment. Bahushakha. Bahushakha means their orientation is many branched, has many branches out to many ragas and dveshas. They start pursuing many things instead of one thing. And then they fall prey. Furthermore, they fall prey to flowery speech of various gurus, whether they are stock market gurus or coaching life coach gurus or any kind of various gurus that you find in the marketplace. Catch the nose, you'll have moksha. Catch the toes, do this, do that. All these kinds of people. There is a lot of uh, premium there, and they fall prey to all these kinds of quote unquote false prophets who says, come to me, I'll take you to heaven. I'll do this yajna. I mean, we've heard so many stories in Atlanta itself. One person was caught getting yajnas done for people with difficult situations, saying that we do some secret yajna which nobody knows, and charging $25,000. Just give the credit card number and then I'll get the yajna done for you. And then people were so gullible because they were desperate. These are the forces that take advantage of people's desperation and trust. They break the innocent trust, and then they do this. And this is all prophesied in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Because bhoga and aishwarya, meaning bhoga means conspicuous consumption. Aishwarya means what is that called? Overlordship, power, here power. So power and wealth, these and some means to enjoy this, when these become the priorities, then one is in trouble. Why do these become priorities? Because people don't know what they really want. Much easy it is to open the computer and study Vedanta, join a satsang, join a class, do something with one's life. Make oneself kritartha means fulfilled. But this is not evident to people who do not have this purushartha nishchaya, what one really wants. And why this purushartha nishchaya is not there? Because the sadhana and the sadhya do not match. Sadhana means, sadhya, goal. So the means and the end, do not match. When the goal is not clear, then what happens? One goes goal, goal. Goal means round and round. This is what happens. One keeps going round and round when the goal is not clear. And why is the goal not clear? Because what is the source of my pain and sorrow, the person has to understand. The source of my pain and sorrow is not because the neighbor has something more than I, and I want what the neighbor has, or I don't have this and I want this. That's not the source of one's sorrow or pain. What is the source of one's sorrow and pain? I do not, in spite of the fact that the Upanishad says I am limitless, I do not know it. So therefore, moksha is not something to be gained. It is a already siddha vastu. It is not sadhya. It is not to be gained because it is your swarupa. It is who you already are. You are already free. if the free person feels that one is bound, then one needs some kind of help. And that help is not in the form of pursuits which involve gaining something which is away from oneself, because this moksha is not away from oneself. Action only gives you four kinds of results. Only four kinds of actions are possible. One is, what is that? Apyam, janyam, that which is to be produced, which is not here, which is to be gained. And so that is one kind of action. And then samskaryam, that which is some kind of a cleaning action, like a copper pot which is tarnished, and then there is a little chink of orange there, and you say, oh, maybe this is copper, let me get some tamarind, and then scrub it, and then the whole pot shines. And then vikaryam means some kind of a modification. You have milk and you have a little bit of a starter, and you mix the two, you warm up the milk and mix the two, and then the next morning you have yogurt. So you have taken two things and somehow modified them and brought out this yogurt. And then what else do you have? You have something which is to be reached, which is away from you. That is the last one. And so, like, I'm thirsty, for example, and then the glass of water is on the kitchen table, and I have to therefore go from here and in from the house. Let's say I'm in the living room of the house, so from the living room I have to walk to go and get that glass of water which is away from me. But with Atma, none of these actions work. Janyam, it is to be produced. There's nothing to be produced. Atma is already is. It is Svata Siddha Vastu. Then is it samskarya? It is not samskarya. It is not to be cleaned. That which does never requires cleaning, never requires bathing, is Atma. Doesn't it? Because it is free of papa, punya, raga, dvesha, everything. Nothing sullies it because it belongs to a different order of reality than all the emotions, all the kama, krodha, everything. It is never affected by sorrow, never affected by anger, nothing to clean. Vikarya, meaning shall we catch hold of the Atma and mix it with Anatma and bring out something? No, because Atma cannot mix with anything else because it's one of a kind. Whatever it mixes with, quote unquote, if it mixes with something, it is just a strange mix up, because it is like hugging your shadow. Are you able to hug your shadow? And what kind of a hug will that be? That is how it is, because the shadow does not belong to the same order of reality. You are the light that casts the shadow, and so the shadow is just a pale mimic of you, so to speak. Anything that the Atma projects, anything in the universe which is a projection of the Atma, is just a pale imitation, a shadow of that Atma. So the Atma cannot really combine with that which has projected, because that projected universe is a dependent reality, cannot do anything to the Atma, cannot combine with it, cannot hurt it, cannot do anything. So then there goes Vikaryam. Finally, Apyam means to go and reach. Atma is never away from you. You cannot reach it. So the main thing to understand by way of priorities, is that the Atma is not something gained by action. Action cannot produce anything. Action cannot modify the Atma, cannot produce the Atma, cannot make it come nearer to you, because it's already the nearest thing that is there possible. So, what does action do? Nothing. So, therefore, one has to make a leap of faith from being a seeker of freedom to a seeker of knowledge, from mumukshu to jignasu, a quantum leap. Then only some change takes place. But that requires a lot of emotional maturity. So, in the beginning of one's spiritual journey, one finds it easier. You have a yajna, you will see thousands of people there. And you have Vedanta classes, oh, a few stragglers will come. Yeah, that is how it is. And that is how the world is set up, at least for right now. Then another one, Shrikant, is it not the goal of Vedanta to bring about inner transformation and faster evolution? I don't know about faster. So the goal of Vedanta is to show the truth of you. That is the goal. And in the process, the person who is not ready, yes, to a certain extent, the Vedanta also teaches that readiness. How to, quote unquote, become ready, it teaches that. Have titiksha, have forbearance, have a resolved mind, have some kind of a calm, inner calmness, have a say over the ways of your action, all the ways that you act, have a say over the mind, have receptivity, shraddha, reverence, devotion to the knowledge, have single minded focus, be able to discern viveka between what is permanent and what is finite, because one always desires the permanent. Vairagya, drop the impermanent. So, yeah, that all brings about inner maturity and emotional growth for the person. I wouldn't say it's a goal, it's an interim goal, because equipped with this emotional maturity alone, one can study Vedanta and drop the notion that one is finite. So it is on the way. This is taught. In fact, the first portion of the Veda also teaches all this. Yeah. Then another one, which with every class that we attend, we try to look inward and see if we can fix the raga dveshas. Is that not the goal of Vedanta? Again, it's an interim goal, because once we don't try to fix them, we try to manage them. So once the raga dveshas are managed, then there is more space in the heart to pursue the knowledge. So that is how we discern, so the goal of Vedanta is to show you the truth of yourself. But the truth of yourself cannot be assimilated unless there are prerequisites. So you see, if you say, isn't it the goal, is the goal of a PhD in physics to teach you how to sit still in class? That is not the goal of PhD in physics. But without the ability to sit still in class, then PhD in physics cannot be gained. Is it the goal of PhD in physics to tell you how to write eloquently and nicely? That is not the goal of PhD in physics. So the goal of but without writing eloquently, you cannot express your thoughts, you cannot write your thesis. So is it the goal of PhD in physics to teach you geometry and algebra and trigonometry? No, those are all aids which you will use in order to do your PhD, but that is not the goal. So the goal of Vedanta is very clear: the vision of oneness, that interconnectedness of everything, and that which is you. This is how, this is what Vedanta teaches. And in the process of assimilating the knowledge, there are a number of numerous prerequisites. Just like if you want to do PhD, there are prerequisites are there. First, you should have a high school education. Then you should have a degree from a college. Then you should have certain credits. Then you should have, in some universities, you should also have a master's degree. And then after that, then you will be considered for candidacy. Then you have to pass some comprehensive written exams. Then after that, you have some oral exams. And then when you're half dead, then you are allowed to write your thesis. Then you have to complete some coursework. Then after that, you are allowed to write the thesis. These are all prerequisites. So, like that, there are prerequisites for the study of Vedanta, which Vedanta also nicely teaches along the way. But that must not be confused for the goal of Vedanta. Okay? Yeah. So then, when Shankara recommends Bhaja Govindam, when Shankara recommended Bhaja Govindam, can I take it as a recommendation to sing bhajans? What is the fuller meaning? Yes, certainly. Bhaja Govindam, yes, sing bhajans. You sing bhajans, Govinda, the one who is found through words, Gobhihi Vindate Yaha. So, the one who is found who is discovered through the words of the Shastra, the words of Vedanta. Very beautiful. So, yes, you can certainly, on one level, take it as dhyana, and the bhajana can take many forms. It can be kayikam karma. You can do it as a puja. That is also a certain kind of a bhajana. Bhaja sevayam. So any kind of seva to Bhagavan is also a bhajanam here. Or you can take it as bhajana vachikam karma, a verbal activity. Or you can take it as manasam karma, a mental activity where you do japa. All those are definitely what Adi Shankara is talking about here. Adi Shankara or some Shankaracharya who wrote this is talking about here. Govindam bhaja mudhamate. Mudhamati means the one whose priorities are deluded. So how is this bhajana comes? How does it bring one closer to the priorities? Because that Bhagavan, which is the truth of oneself, is being invoked here. And definitely there is karma phala. In this Bhaja Govindam, on the deeper level, there is more, what is that called? There are more nuances of meaning, because it talks about various things. First, it talks of the life cycle of the jiva, and in the life cycle of the jiva, discerns the impermanent from the permanent. Permanent being Bhagavan as the truth of yourself that you wish to know. You take recourse to that Bhagavan, bring Ishvara into your life. That is the deeper meaning. It's not just about singing bhajans, it's actively bringing Ishvara into your life by surrendering to the laws, by understanding the laws of the universe, by going in tandem with whatever there is, by developing an attitude of glad acceptance. All this is included. And this is all Bhaja Govindam. Govindam Bhaja. And it goes, so first thing it does is goes through the life cycle of the jiva, and then says how, even at the end of the life, and then Angam Galitam, the bones have become liquefied at the end of life. Osteoporosis. Angam Galitam, the limbs have become liquefied. Palitam Mundam, there is the head is just a shiny surface, a mirror for somebody else. Okay, yeah. And then Palitam Mundam. And then Dashana Vihinam, without teeth. Jatam Tundam, without teeth are the set of jaws. And then here you see this kind of a person doddering along on the street with the help of a cane. Vriddho yati grihitva dandam. Okay, so what is wrong with this scenario? This already elderly person in this tottering state is carrying a huge burden, refuses to put it down. What? Tadapi na munchati asha pindam. It is a asha pinda, a huge, knapsack, backpack, a huge backpack weighed down by the backpack of desires. Is this person who is who is at the end of the life still unable to give up those desires? What a sight! This is designed to bring vairagya. And then it even talks about death. And this what happens is this: the dearly beloved has departed, and the spouse, before the person dies, is kind of, you know is kind of what is that, understanding that okay, the end of the life for this fellow has come, and sheds tears, says, don't go, I can't live without you, I love you so much, you are so dear to me, don't do this, don't go. But the person's time has come, the person goes. And then as soon as the person has gone, that body, she says, get it out of the house, get it out of the house just now, I don't want to even look at it. And 2 seconds ago, this was dearly beloved, this body was dearly beloved to her, but what, now it is not. And so like this, it asks one to not just sing bhajans, but we have to think about what the effect of singing bhajans does. It asks one to go within and be more, invite Ishvara into one's life, understand Ishvara, make a commitment to study Vedanta. All that it talks about. Talks about study Vedanta, because otherwise, any other study, nahi nahi rakshati, it doesn't protect you. Like study of what? Like, for example, the study of grammar. Here, that is not a, this is not an invitation to drop out of the weekend Sanskrit classes. Okay, yeah. So the grammar is important, but we are talking about kevala vyakarana. Kevala means only grammar, not at the cost of Vedanta. That is not, that is what we are talking about. Nahi nahi rakshati dukring karane. So the verb to do, kr, is in the Paninian sense talked about as dukring, dukrin, and the do is a prefix which has a particular function, because with the kinds, with the words that begin with this do in the dhatu patha, they behave in certain ways. Do pachash, pache, to, in the sense, even the verb to cook has this do affix in front of it. It shows that you can make certain words out of it. Like it takes certain suffixes, paktrimam, kritrimam, like that. So that is why the do comes. So karane means to do. So this is the grammar rules will not protect you. Grammar rules stand for any other body of knowledge which is called aparavidya. Knowledge that is not absolute. Knowledge of all the means and ends. That will not protect you. That is one meaning. Another meaning, the verb to do will not protect you, meaning doership will not protect you. There is a pun. So therefore, Bhaja Govindam means learn to, get to know Ishvara, and by whatever means necessary. Connect to Ishvara. Bring Ishvara into your life. That is what it means. If the yajnas help to bring one close to Vedanta, then is it right? Then is it right? Yajnas help to get rid of prarabdha karmas which are blocking one into to go into self realization. I don't know about that really. Why will it, how will it get rid of prarabdha karma? I don't know. Because prarabdha karma must not be confused with kama. Kama is the one that leads one to do yajnas. Correct? Yeah. So, kama, if it's there, and one does yajna and for the sake of some desire, and that desire yields fruit, ठीक है, okay. That is, that is one way one connects to that. But if you see yajna from the standpoint of karma yoga and see it as a prayer, yes, then it will neutralize prarabdha karma. Then you see it from the standpoint of a karma yogi. You are not doing the yajna for the sake of gaining something in time. You are doing the yajna specifically for antahkarana shuddhi. For that, you don't need to do yajna. Antakarana shuddhi can be done through so many ways, so many karmas are there for antakarana shuddhi. But yeah, if you do yajna from not focusing on the result, but you want the result to be freedom from seeking, yeah, it can have that effect. Okay, yeah. Any other questions?
Swamiji, probably a good old question. I'm kind of newer in this journey, but could you elaborate on free will and destiny?
Yeah, that is a new old question. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It depends on where, one is with regard to this. So, free will means the ability to do something. And if one is a human being, yes, there is free will. There is free will because obviously you are making certain decisions. You are deciding to get up every morning. You are deciding to take this retreat. You are deciding to go to work, perhaps. You are deciding to take care of people within the family. All these things one decides. So therefore there is intentionality, and intentionality which accompanies the action is what is called free will. So you can say this is, point one for the existence of free will. Okay. So the ball is in the court, one goal for free will. And then you can clap and say, yay. But then, if we look at this concept of destiny, what is this destiny? Karma phala. Karma. Karma means what? Free will exercised in previous lives. That is what it is. So, where is the question of destiny? Who is controlling your destiny? What is destiny other than stale free will that was exercised or abused? Because exercise means in keeping with dharma, one acted, okay, then you have some wonderful effect now, that is punya you are enjoying. So let's say free will that was abused in the last life or the life before that, in one of the previous lives, then comes back here, and then you say, oh, there is a blockage. Oh no, this is destiny. Why? Because I opened the computer and I just could not attend Vedanta class. It froze. This must be my destiny. And then well, that's why you have so many devices. You can try on the phone, you can do so many things. But that is not your destiny. That was the free will exercised badly. That is what is called destiny. Free will exercised well in other lives. That is what is called destiny now. So the free will of the past is the destiny of the present. Very, very interesting. So where is destiny? So then now the game is getting very interesting. Yay! Free will, 2 points. Destiny, zero, seen from this standpoint. Okay? All right. Then we make the game even more exciting. And you know what we can do here? We can say, we can look at it from the standpoint of destiny, from the standpoint of Bhagavan, and say, where does this free will come from? Everything is created by Bhagavan. Therefore, it is also safe to say that free will is also a projection, a creation of Bhagavan. So then, where is free will? Suddenly, the area called destiny, the court of destiny, has 1 point. Where is the question of free will? If everything is Bhagavan, then the free will is also given by Bhagavan. And so then, where is the question of free will? The free will is there. Maybe small things, you can say free will is there to go and buy the desired tube of toothpaste, and you choose between two brands and buy one, only to come home and know that both the brands are owned by the same company. This is what happens. So this little, free will operates, but within the larger Antaryami's rulership. Antaryami allows some, what should I say, messing up of the order, because the disorder is built into the order. So there's really, what free will is there? Free will is just a relative expression of a few decisions that are made within the larger scheme of things, which are already the law called a law of karma and the law called Bhagavan. So, this is, to put it in Lord Krishna's words in the third chapter, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. The more you ask about this, the more sleepless your night will be. So we should not discuss this any further in the interest of sleep, dreamless or otherwise. Okay. Yeah. So does that make sense? Yeah.
Uh, kind of. I mean, basically, again, that's what leads to all the disparity and the disorder, and more based on the choices that all of us have been making.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Right.
collectively it does. Yeah. The abuse of free will, well, on the collective and the individual level, yeah, does that, leads to that. So we can do whatever we can to protect the planet, to protect, to be kind to one another, etc., etc., to live this vidya, to assimilate it, to so that it becomes a natural outpouring of one's life. We can do whatever we can. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Swamiji, I have one last question. I was under the impression that consciousness manifests only in objects that have a mind. And if, like, I got confused because we studied that earth and other elements like Vayu are also considered conscious
Yes,
beings.
yes. Yes, because you see, Satchidananda is in everything. Satchidananda animates everything. So, Satchidananda, rock is also Satchidananda. You are also Satchidananda. What is the difference? The rock doesn't have a subtle body. The rock doesn't have the ability to manifest that Satchidananda to the extent that you can. In other words, the rock cannot say, I rock, but you can say, I rock. Ah, that is the difference. Everything has Satchidananda. But the presence or the absence of the Sukshma Sharira shows the difference. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. All right. Any other questions? ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you. Thank you.
Swamiji, will the recording be posted for today's question and answer session?
Today's which session?
This question and answer session, Swamiji.
I hope so. Sahadev is the magician who does that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be. Do I see him nodding his head? Yeah. Sahadev, will this be posted?
Yeah, I can put that to the to your YouTube.
Yeah,
channel.
you can do that. Yes, you can. It will be done then. Yes. All right. Yeah. You can
Thank you.
just name it Q&A so that people can look
Right,
at it.
right.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Swamiji, there was a satsang on Friday also, right? So we'll also have the recording of that.
No, that was the first class. So we have a recording of that. It is called Antaryami Brahmana 1.
Yeah, I understand, but there should also be a satsang on Friday, right?
No, instead
Saturday.
of satsang, yeah,
No, no, no.
Saturday satsang, Saturday satsang, Sahadev will also have the recording of that.
Okay.
And that was by Swami Muktatmananda.
Oh, so I'll put these on the Arshavidya YouTube, and I can make a playlist for that. I can send a link to whoever has registered for the camp, the weekend. To that, I'll probably be a private playlist, so you can see anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all the best. Take
Thank
care.
you, Swamiji.
Thank
you.
you. All the best. Om.